November 29th, and this is Friday 5 at 5 with Denver Public Library. I'm Tina.
And I'm Ashley.
And we're both librarians at DPL Central Library. And in 15 minutes or less, we'll have you up to speed on 5 new titles out this month that we can't wait for you to read or listen to. Please note that not all titles may be added onto Overdrive until after a publication date. So if you don't see the titles in ebook format or e-audio, please make sure to check back. Over at the University Hills Branch Library, we are hosting Donuts and Dialogue. If you fancy seeing friendly faces and chatting for a while, then you are cordially invited to join us for nice sessions of delicious donuts and delectable conversation. Let's come together as neighbors to share laughs, stories, and maybe even a few sparks. Let's put some joy into our days and make new friends while eating freshly made donuts.
Now that the Central Branch is fully open, check out some of our great reference services. Make an appointment to meet with a librarian to talk about your business, your research project, your patent, or even starting a nonprofit. During the appointment, the librarian will suggest the best resources to answer your questions and teach you the most efficient methods to search our databases. Appointments can also be done virtually. The Denver Public Library has links to online resources to assist you in all your endeavors. The links are below. Our first book of the day is The Gardener's Plot by Deborah J. Benoit. This is a debut cozy mystery. The Gardener's Plot introduces us to amateur sleuth Maggie Walker, who is back in her childhood home of Marlow, Massachusetts, after the death of her ex-husband. She's living in her late grandmother's home and has volunteered with one of her friends to set up a community garden. But on the day of the grand opening, her friend, Violet, is nowhere to be found. Then, a body of a disliked developer is found in the new garden, and the police begin asking questions about Violet and her strange disappearance. Maggie decides to investigate when Violet becomes a main suspect to find her friend and prove that she didn't do it. It's a fun, feel-good mystery that will have you wanting to read more. A couple read-alikes for The Gardener's Plot is The Village Library Demon Hunting Society by C.M. Wagner. This one features 63-year-old librarian Sherry Pinkwhistle, who lives in a quaint village where murders keep happening. When someone close to her dies, she is determined to investigate. Something strange is afoot, and she thinks it might be supernatural. Suddenly, her cat, Lord Thomas, is acting up, and it seems like he's possessed. She gathers an assortment of friends in order to solve the murder and exorcise the demons in their town. This one is a great blend of humor, fantasy, and cozy mystery. The other one here is The Framed Women of Ardmore House by Brandy Shalais. Jo Jones has always had a hard time fitting in, so when she learns she inherited a manor in England, she leaves New York and moves to the secluded estate. Soon, the death of a grumpy groundskeeper and the disappearance of an old family portrait has her looking like a suspect in the police's eyes. With the help of a few locals, Jo decides to investigate the murder and clear her name. But she'll have to do it before the killer comes for her. This one is a well-plotted, cozy mystery and features a neurodivergent main character.
If you love the humor of Knives Out, then you will love Misery Hates Company by Emma Hobbs. After the death of her parents leaves her destitute, Miss Marigold Manners, a modern young woman pursuing higher education, accepts an invitation to visit a distant relative on Great Misery Island. When Marigold arrives at Hatchet Farm, she finds relatives who are so weighed down by the sins of the past they have no future. And this simply will not do for Miss Marigold. She takes it upon herself to modernize them with quick and ruthless efficiency, but unfortunately, as well-mannered as she may be, her plans lead to malice and murder. Marigold spies a body floating in the stormy water surrounding the island, and her suspicions immediately turn to her hostile relatives. When another dead body is found in the garden of the estate, Marigold finds herself as a suspect. As secrets are uncovered and lies are exposed, the question of who done it turns into who didn't do it, and Marigold must face a truth that shatters her very sense of self. For fans of Agatha Christie, we have another take on the Victorian mystery with Miss Morton and the English House Party Murder by Catherine Lloyd. We have yet another penniless daughter, Miss Carolyn Morton, who takes on the job of companion for the wealthy wit of Froggerton, just to make ends meet. Just as she's getting used to the job, they find themselves coming together to solve a mystery when an older family member is found stabbed by a knitting needle. We also have How to Solve Your Own Murder by Kristen Perrin. Frances has spent her whole life trying to solve a murder that hasn't happened yet, her own. As a teenager, Frances was told by a fortune teller that one day she would be murdered. With this, Frances has spent her entire life since, detailing everyone she has met and reasons why they would want to kill her. When the foretold happens, it is up to her niece Annie to go through all the clues she has compiled and try to figure out who killed Frances.
Next up, we have The Story of the Forest by Linda Grant. This historical fiction about a Jewish family that moves from Latvia to England after Mina, their daughter, encounters a group of Bolsheviks in the forest. They settle in Liverpool, but are quickly affected by World War I. Jossel, Mina's brother, is sent to the front lines, and we follow their stories as the family branches out over the years, as the First World War leads to the Second and the devastation and discrimination that comes with it. This book is partially the author's own history and family legends and partially fiction. It's one with sharp storytelling about the power of family history and the grief and beauty that comes with life. A couple historical fiction read-alikes for you. First up, we have Last House, or The Age of Oil by Jessica Shattuck. Last House focuses on the history of American intervention in Iran and its impacts on one family. In the 1950s, we meet Nick Taylor, a veteran turned lawyer for a large oil company who helps the U.S. support the coup in Iran. We follow him and his family as his children grow up and struggle to reconcile their upbringing with their personal ideals and American history. It's a sweeping family saga that highlights complicated family dynamics and the consequences of difficult choices. This book is one for those who love a well-researched novel. We also have The Glassmaker by Tracy Chevalier. This is another family saga for you, but this time it's based in 1486. Ursula is the daughter of glass blowers in Murano, Italy. As a woman, she isn't supposed to work, but when her father dies, she begins to blow glass in secret, and her work creates the beginning of the family fortune. We follow the family through decades of time and through the history of Italy. In each storyline, the love, art, and strength of the family shines through. This book has a bit of magical realism and a little bit of light romance, and the writing of the author really shines through.
When We Were Widows by Annette Chavez Macias weaves together the heartfelt stories of three widows, all from the same family, as they navigate and gain meaning through loss. Jessica, the oldest, seemingly has everything under control after her husband's death 6 months ago. That is until an incident at work shatters the illusion. Jessica has always kept her feelings bottled up, but now an unexpected connection is challenging her barriers. Anna, her sister, has been widowed for 5 years, but still lives as if her husband never died. When her house floods and disrupts her perfect routine, she has little choice but to change. Now, under common laws, these sisters come together along with matriarch Mama Melda to share a home and grapple with their family history once and for all. The Moonflowers by Abigail Rose Marie is another book about confronting family secrets. We are introduced to Tig, who is tasked with painting a portrait of her grandpa, a man she knows little about, for he was murdered 50 years ago. As Tig works to untangle the mysteries of her grandpa's past, she decides she must talk to the only person who knew him best, Eloise, his murderer. If you like magical realism and stories of family, then you will also enjoy My Mother Cursed My Name by Ana Meli Salgado Reyes. Our main character, Olvido, is having a hard time crossing over into the afterlife. Olvido endeavors to correct her unfinished business and sets out to make her daughter Angustia's life perfect, even if they have very different ideas of what that looks like.
Up next, we have Vet at the End of the Earth by Jonathan Hollins. In the same vein as the late James Herriot, vet and author Jonathan Hollins takes us along the journey as he cares for animals as the resident veterinarian in the South Atlantic Islands. These islands and their unique landscape, flora, and fauna mean that Hollins has interesting experiences, such as taking care of a 200-year-old tortoise and dealing with invasive microorganisms. The stories he shares are not only about the animals he oversees, but are also full of culture and history of these islands. It's a fun read with quirky characters and exotic locations, and Holland's passion for animals really shines through. A couple read-alikes for this one are Pets and the City by Dr. Amy Addis. Dr. Addis is an in-home vet for the famous in Manhattan with her company, City Pets. This memoir shares the heartwarming and heartbreaking stories of the experiences she has had in the last 30 years and confirms that superstars are just as obsessed about their pets as the rest of us. Addis tells stories of celebrities and their pets that will have you laughing and crying, but most of all, it will have you wanting to go squeeze your pets a little bit tighter today. As the book states, our pets love us because their hearts are pure. We love them because they're freaking adorable. It's a great read for anyone who loves animals or who loves celebrity gossip. And lastly, we have Dogland by Tommy Tomlinson. In this book, author and dog lover Tommy Tomlinson dives into the world of dog shows. He focuses mostly on the story of handler Laura King and her show dog Striker and their attempt to win the 2022 Westminster Dog Show. Readers will learn about the grooming and training regimens as well as the peculiarities of dog shows, such as for your consideration ads and studying up on judges' preferences. Tomlinson has a wonderful, humorous style which will have you laughing as you learn more about this niche world.
In case you missed it, November is Indigenous Peoples Month, and to celebrate its end, we have this lovely book on the national language, The Poetry of Americans' Endangered Tongues by photojournalist B.A. Van Cease, and in collaboration with several Indigenous authors. This book takes us to members of various Indigenous groups around America, recognizing the wide array of Indigenous languages, many of which are endangered. Through mesmerizing pictures and prose, we are shown the beauty of these languages within the context of those who bring them to life and fight to keep them around. Our read-alikes for this title include A Grandmother Begins a Story by Michelle Porter. This multi-generational story is told from a multiple perspective, tracing the roots of an Indigenous Canadian family. It takes us from the generation of living descendants all the way to the afterlife and to the matriarch of the family as she works to untether herself from the issues of the living. This is an amazing story that blends together the real world and that which we cannot see. We also have from Billy Ray Belcourt, Coexistence Stories, a series of short stories reimagining Native people from all walks of life. From a mother grieving her son to a professor haunted by a dark entity, this collection has a story for everyone.
That's all for this month. Thank you for tuning in to Denver Public Library's Friday 5 at 5, and we hope you enjoy these great reads and listens. Check out or place a hold on these titles and a whole lot more right now at denverlibrary.org. The link is below. Tune in next month for new recommended reads. Bye!